What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Post-Gazette Pirate Show presented by FanDuel. Love this. It's Tuesday and the offseason is upon us. We just finished a 5-part series talking about various issues with the Pirates. If you missed any of that, make sure you not like and subscribe, but you can fish back through the content like smart people do and find it on our website, post-gazette.com. We're turning the page, though. Have some news to get to, have some different storylines to weigh in. Colin Beazley is here, of course, as he is always. We do these every Tuesday and Friday. Happy to talk to you about some Bucco talk. Last night, well, before we get into that, Colin, how are you? You have the FanDuel thing, and then I want to get into Paul Skenes. I'm jumping the shark here.
I am doing all right. I think our FanDuel, I think the odds we chose, that might be worth saving for our later conversation. But overall, I'm pretty good. I watched some college basketball and some football last night. My Villanova Wildcats look like they might actually be semi-decent this year. They played well against a top 10 team in BYU. So I'm excited for it to be college basketball season. It's something I enjoy over the winter.
Nice.
What about you? How do your Westminster Titans look like this year?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I
should know. I don't. I watched Monday Night Football last night, and then I watched the Penguins game, and I turned it off when it was 3-0, and it was great. And I know that they won. I know that nothing bad happened over the second half of the game in Toronto. So it's all right. It's a good time of year. And now let's get into some baseball talk, because before all that stuff happened, a big, massive announcement happened on TV, right? No.
I'm not picking this one up.
Paul Skenes. It wasn't a massive announcement. I'm being sarcastic.
That one. Yes. Found out yesterday the Baseball Writers Association of America announced their Cy Young finalists, their MVP finalists, Coach of the Year finalists, Rookie of the Year finalists. Pirates are represented, of course, by Tall Paul Skenes, second-year ace, the overwhelming favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award. He's up there with Yoshinobu Yamamoto of Dodgers World Series fame and Christopher Sanchez, the Phillies lefty. Those are the top three for the National League Cy Young Awards. I think the voters got it right. I'd say those are the top three in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. We could sit there and debate the periphery. Yamamoto's not in there based on his World Series heroics, as long as people know that, like those votes were cast beforehand. I'm 2, 3, 4, 5. I think you can make cases for and against people. Where I'm passionate about this, Colin, I mean, don't tell me Paul Skenes ain't winning. Pardon the poor grammar. Like, I'm looking at what this guy did, and I think more about, what sort of historical context can we put him in, not necessarily can he win. And, I think there's a storyline here where people think that BBWA voters are like a bunch of dinosaurs that are going to value wins and losses. Like, not really. People look at numbers almost to a nauseating degree with this stuff. And anything you look at, it's Paul Skenes. And my goodness, I mean, what a season. I'd probably rather talk about what's next for Paul and the evolution and picking apart his own performance than comparing it to Sanchez or Yamamoto. Yeah,
I agree. He should certainly win. I'm curious to see what the margin is. I don't know if he'll be unanimous, not unanimous, how dominant he'll be, but I agree he'll win. I'm very curious to see how Paul continues to evolve. We saw some of that this year. We talked about this before on the PG Pirates show, but Paul Skenes did a lot of things this year that he didn't have to do last year, just as he faced teams for a third, fourth, and fifth time. Relied on different pitches. He used his sweeper a lot more, used his splinter less, mixed and matched, and kind of found out what worked for him on any given day instead of just sticking to one significant equation. And it worked out for him. 1.97 ERA, led the majors in ERA plus, struck out a Pirates record for a right-hander. I believe it was 216. Just outstanding stuff. I'm curious. I actually don't have the stats in front of me, so I'm proud of that right there. But I'm curious to see how he continues to evolve, because it does not look at all like this is Paul Skenes proved this year he's not a one-season wonder, and I highly doubt he'll be a two-season wonder too.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we've seen an evolution from 24 to 25, and what does it look like from 25 to 26? just some stuff that I was looking at with Paul prior to this, trying to think about, a way to take the discussion that isn't just Paul Skenes beating the brakes off of people.
Really good.
Yeah, he was really good. Talk to you Friday.
And scene.
Yeah. His changeup was even better than I thought it was. Like, thinking back in the season and watching it, like it's a good pitch. Numerically, I can't say I ever spent a lot of time dwelling on it. Opponents hit 103 against it. They slugged 126. That's crazy. Like, you think of the guy with his four-seam fastball and, throwing the hard stuff past people, and that was really good. I wonder where that goes to. We've talked, I know before, Colin, about his splinker. And, like, that didn't perform as well as maybe I thought eye test-wise. Opponents hit 277 against it and slugged 404. That's up from 184 and 234 last season. And I don't expect people to remember those numbers. There's no test at the end of this thing, but like his splinker didn't perform as well and his changeup was off the charts. Like next season, do people sit on the changeup? Does he have to evolve the splinker a little bit? I don't know, but my takeaway from watching Paul is just that he is extremely capable of doing that. I don't think, whatever adjustment is going to be required of him, I'm very confident he's able to make it.
That's a wild stat about the changeup. I didn't know that, because when you think about Paul Skenes, changeup isn't the first thing you think about. So for that to be arguably his best pitch this year, that's insane. Like you think about the splinker, you think about the triple-digit fastball, you think about a whole lot of different other things before you think of what his best pitch can be. I guess that's just that's what happens when one pitch makes that big of a leap, but I don't know. What do you think? It's.
I mean, what I think personally is coming out of his hand, it looks a lot like a splinker, and it performs a little bit like it. And there's a velo drop off. Like the grip is not all that different. The arm slot is not all that different. He's very gifted that he's able to throw, the same sort of release point. Like everything's tunneling the way it should. I don't think you can pick up on it. And if the pitch performs the way it should, all of a sudden you've got dive and you've got somebody who's committed to swinging at either 98, 90, 99 or even like 94, 95. And then you take it down to 90, 91. You're just not touching that thing. You just can't. You can't get there. You've already screwed with somebody for like two different speeds. And then here you are with a good performing pitch that's diving in the dirt that somebody's committed to trying to hit. So I don't know, man. I love watching him pitch. Not just throw. I love watching him pitch. There's so much between the ears. It's fun.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. I don't know if he's bad. Unbelievable talent.
All right, we are not making this transition for any sort of intentional way. I know people will think that. Now I want to talk about the Dodgers. The World Series, it wrapped up. And I've got some thoughts on this, Colin, relative to other sports. And you are from that part of the world. I'm not going to say you're a Dodgers fan because that gets kind of beaten out of us, but you have a different perspective on the Dodgers and a different, lens on it than maybe I would or people in Pittsburgh would. So I think it might be a great little mini debate here. But first, it's a great time for our FanDuel odds that I will let you handle.
Yeah, it is a great transition to our FanDuel odds because World Series may have just ended, but the World Series 2026 odds are already out, and our friends at FanDuel have them covered. The Dodgers, of course, are the heavy favorite. They're plus 350 to win the World Series and three-peat this year. Yankees and Phillies at 2 and 3 at plus 700 and plus 1,000. Pirates all the way at the bottom. Essentially, they're 26 out of 30 plus 22,500 if you think that the Pirates will win the 2026 World Series. So big difference there, to put it mildly.
That's all right. Make your bets anyway, sportsbook.fanduel.com, and you can maybe win a lot of money if you're right and everybody else is wrong. You never know.
Very, very possible.
All right, so there's the debate, are the Dodgers bad for baseball? I want to talk a little bit about that, but I also think it's interesting. There's a lot of people talking about, strike after the CBA expires. Baseball's in a bad place. Baseball needs reform. And I think a lot of that's fair. I feel that. I'd like to see more economic guardrails put in all this, and maybe this conversation doesn't become that. But I think we need to be honest about where baseball is in terms of people paying attention. A a lot of people paid attention to the World Series. Like one stat I saw, Game 7 of the World Series drew 25.9 million people. Game 7 of the last NBA Finals, 16.4. That's really good. I wonder, Colin, how much that plays a factor in negotiations, and everybody's like, you know what, we're good, we're fine. People are paying attention. I don't want to rip things up and have a lockout. Like, let's continue momentum and continue what we're doing. Do you think that's realistic? Do you think that's unrealistic? How in your head do you square some of the popularity that we saw in the World Series with, impending labor doom?
Yeah, I kind of see this in two different ways. I think that baseball really does have a lot of momentum. I understand that it's not great here, and we'll get into that. But Game 7 of the World Series was unbelievable theater, unbelievable game. The series as a whole was just an absolutely incredible series. And I'm glad it's reflected in the TV numbers. I'm glad that America tuned in to see two really, really good teams and some really, really good players and some unbelievable storylines and unbelievable drama play out. I'm glad that baseball got that much interest. And then you include the success of the last World Baseball Classic and the World Baseball Classic coming up this year. You can see that baseball internationally, nationally, there's a lot of interest in this sport. I don't know how much of that is rule changes and how much of that is off of the stuff Rob Manfred put in a couple years ago, but baseball as a whole it's interesting. People are watching it. People are seeing it. So from that perspective, and in terms of the momentum the sport has, a labor stoppage is pretty terrible, considering baseball has this momentum. Baseball has eyeballs on it. People are paying attention to this, and for that to stop for an indefinite period of time, from that aspect, it's bad. However, there also are some real issues that baseball is facing, and I think that the market we happen to report in, the market that we live in Pittsburgh, especially, is somewhere that sees it a lot more than other places, because there is legitimate reason for fans of small market baseball teams to be frustrated with the way things are, to be frustrated with the Dodgers and their success, to be frustrated with the entire playoff system, to be frustrated with how payrolls are there. There's a lot of issues that baseball is facing that we in Pittsburgh see more clearly than people do in Los Angeles. And that's why this sort of labor stoppage, I think, probably will happen. I think there will be some change from it. So I kind of see both sides on this. I think that there's an opportunity for some good change to happen. But at the same time, it hurts a little bit to see the positive momentum baseball has be stopped for an indefinite period of time.
Yep, no doubt. I have a suggestion for how to not stop that momentum. We'll get to that in a second, but first, a message from our friends with Greenewalt Roofing.
Hey, Pittsburgh. When you think of great roofs, you think Greenewalt Roofing Company. With over 20 years experience, Greenewalt knows your roof is your home's first line of defense from rain, wind, snow, and ice. That's why Greenewalt Roofing's standard for perfection is so important. You can trust that their team of experienced installers will treat your property like it's their own. When it comes to roof replacements, Greenewalt Roofing is Pittsburgh's only choice. Visit greenewaltroofing.com today or call 412-314-8882 to schedule your free estimate. PA contractor number 36262.
And welcome back to the Post-Gazette Pirate Show, presented by FanDuel. Jason Mackey alongside Colin Beazley for our second segment, talking about the Dodgers, Major League Baseball, economic reform coming. Is it popular? Is this a problem? How can we fix it? To me, it's one big conversation. And I was actually, true story, was at my son's hockey game last night, and I'm walking around the perimeter. I've got like headphones on, and I talked to a couple people and was texting some agents and was just kind of getting a feel for this. And so it was like, thoughts were germinating in my head. And another thing was brought up to me, Colin, that I think they can't afford to lose momentum on this because of the national TV bundle being up too after the 2027 season. And, a lockout's going to crush that. You can't have your national TV product up and then have not a product. You have to find a way, in my opinion, to get on the field. I understand that's really hard. And I don't know whether they're going to have success with the cap and a floor. I have my doubts. But one solution I have, and I maybe you've heard this, maybe you haven't, feel free to disagree with me if you think it's stupid, is doing more with revenue sharing funds. I don't understand why, some smaller market teams want more money. Okay, I agree with that. I don't think Major League Baseball does a good enough job of distributing funds. I also don't think Major League Baseball does a good enough job monitoring where those funds are going. So, here's more money. Here's the pie sliced up differently, but we're going to hold you accountable to where those funds go. And if you don't try, if you don't win, if you're not successful with what you're doing, they go away. To me, that's one, as we look at the whole situation here, I don't think baseball's in a bad spot. I just think it could be better. And I think they need to put in some sort of fix, whether that's revenue sharing, cap floor, etc. So there's my spiel. What do you got?
Yeah.
Terrible setup.
That works. I'd be curious how exactly that would work, and whether that's who exactly would have the power to institute something like that, and whether, I guess you could just say, if you don't spend this money, the money's going to disappear. But I don't know. I don't know whether that sort of thing would work, because I think it's not a controversial statement to say that there are some owners in baseball who it would be better. Baseball would be better if they spent more money. I think there are some franchises that could do with a little bit more of a winning mindset and a little bit more spending. And I think that revenue sharing and increased revenue sharing is something that probably could lead to some answers there. But there's also a heavy section of owners that are interested, just have teams to make money. And if you're giving them more money, then what's to say that they're going to spend that money, that they're going to increase their payroll and try and improve the product on the field? I think that is, in my opinion, is a bigger issue than what the Dodgers are doing and the dominance that they've been able to have. The various teams that don't have that same interest in winning.
Yeah, and just to touch on the Dodgers for a second, I know Noah kind of got into it on Saturday, Sunday with some people, and I disagree with him to a degree. I also understand where he's coming from. I don't have a hard and fast opinion on the Dodgers are, cheating or something. The Dodgers are doing what the Dodgers should do. If I ran the Dodgers, I would do the exact same thing. I get more mad that Major League Baseball permits that, that there's not a floor and a cap and all this stuff. It just shouldn't be allowed. I don't begrudge the Dodgers for playing within the rules, and I think they've run their organization in an exceptional way. Noah is right about, some of the players they signed. Other teams had the opportunity to sign them. The Dodgers didn't. The Dodgers also have a tremendous small market operation, small market operation, put that in air quotes, but Andrew Friedman's really, really smart. It's come up the right way, and they develop and scout and all this stuff, and that's impeccable. I don't understand. And here's the example I'll use. I was sitting down watching Monday Night Football last night, and I was perfectly entertained by the Arizona Cardinals and the Dallas Cowboys. I was not alone. Obviously, the NFL numbers are very good, and the NFL becomes more of a national game than baseball. I just don't understand why baseball doesn't look at it that way and say, and they establish things like football does and say there's more parity here. Any team has a chance. We want to involve everybody. I don't understand why we're not having that discussion. You'd be looking at exactly what football does and saying, I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to be right there with you, because I think there's an opportunity, but you need a better economic system right now.
I don't disagree that some economic change is needed, but at the same time, baseball and football are fundamentally different in their economics. Baseball is a sport where attendance does still matter, where you still have 81 games, where you still have 162 games in a season. It doesn't really matter how many people go to an NFL game in terms of how much money they're making, just because it's all from a national TV deal. And in baseball, attendance does make a difference. And this, to be clear, I'm not saying that the Pirates would be good if fans went to the games. This is not that's not at all how I'm going at this. But at the same time, the Dodgers drew 4 million in attendance this year at home, which is an unbelievable standard. Their fans reacted to them spending money by going to the games, and the Dodgers responded. The most important part of this, Dodgers responded by taking that money and putting it back into the team. That cycle is going on. That's something that the Dodgers have been doing. The other part of this is that with the national TV deal we talked about, everything in the NFL is all national TV. There's not really local TV. Like local TV isn't particularly important in the NFL. It is everything in baseball. The Dodgers have, what is it, like a $350 million TV deal?
Right.
There are some things that there are a lot of advantages they have from being a big market, but at the same time, they also take all the money that they earn from that and from Shohei and from fan attendance and from $18 micheladas and all sorts of things, and they put it back into the franchise. And I struggle to blame the Dodgers for that because of how much revenue they generate and how it all goes back into the team, it seems.
Yeah, you're right. And they should be allowed to make money. Like, you're spending money, you should be allowed to make money. I'm not going to get mad at a team for that. Like, I don't understand that, why that business principle isn't applied with the Pirates. Like, spend money, you make money. You get more people in there. Spend more money, reinvest it, you keep going higher and higher and higher. And the person who's at the top of that thing, hey, you get to get rich. Great. But yeah, man, I just like, I wish that if you're going to run the sport, I look at football and within 2 years, you can have a football team that gets good again and they're competitive and fans have a reason to believe. And there's a way to establish that in Major League Baseball. Like, maybe it's not a cap and a floor. Like, it should not be this disjointed. It should not. You should not allow, owners at the bottom and owners at the top to function this way. And I don't know whether it's revenue sharing. I don't know whether it's a cap and a floor, whatever. I just, I look at the ratings that Major League Baseball is getting and like, that's great, but it's almost like false hope. Like, if they let this, and I think they probably will too, and I'm just going to disagree and that's fine. If they let the ratings, say like, we're good, we're going to come back from this, we're not going to change anything, we got to have the rating momentum, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that's going to cause problems long term, but I think that's probably what's going to happen, man. I think people are just going to be okay with it.
Yeah. I again want to push back on the football and baseball differences there, because in football, yeah, you can get good in 2 years, but generally the way to do that is get a quarterback like that. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much the difference between the haves and the have-nots in football for the most part, is whether they have a competent quarterback. In baseball, it's the ultimate team game where you can't, like, there's not, you can take the best pitcher on the planet, put him on one team, and that doesn't necessarily guarantee that one team is going to be good. I think we've seen that, and we know who I'm talking about there. There's a lot more that's needed, and I don't necessarily know that it's something where it's a salary cap thing and that would automatically be changed if it had the same sort of cap. However, that said, what was I going to say with this? It is one of the biggest problems that I think baseball faces is the fact that there are guys on small market teams that the question isn't whether they'll re-sign with their small market team. The question is which big market team will they end up with. That I see as a bigger issue. Like, when you look at Tar Skubal and you see the situation there, and you see that the Tigers are going into the last year trying to decide whether to trade him or not, and there's absolutely zero chance they extend him for myriad reasons. Like, that I see as a major issue, and I'm not sure that's something that a cap or I don't know how you solve that one, but I see that as a major issue.
I know. I agree with you. And it's like looking into the future, right? Like, we're going to be dealing with that in 3 years. If not before, with Paul Skenes. Like, all right. We could belabor this topic. I don't want to do it. I do want to get into some minor league thoughts. They did minor league awards last week, and this will be our last topic for today's episode. But some interesting things, I thought, Colin. And yesterday we also had some Gold Glove recipients, or I should say Sunday night recipients, and then Konnor Griffin as well. But I wanted to go with some takeaways from the minor league awards and what we thought of who was awarded, who's maybe on our radar now that wasn't before. Is there something we maybe appreciate more now? I've got a thought or two, but I'm gonna roll the ball your way. What sum up your thoughts on some of the minor league awards that we saw?
I don't know that anyone's on my radar that wasn't on my radar. I mean, that's minor league is something that I've covered a lot this year, and there weren't really any surprises there. But the one surprise that I saw wasn't with the Pirates awards. It was with Konnor Griffin getting a minor league Gold Glove award. I had read the scouting reports and seen that there's question over whether he's a shortstop or a center fielder or where exactly they could use him. And the Pirates ended up using him all season at shortstop for the most part. And for him to come out as the best defensive shortstop in the minor leagues, according to these Gold Glove awards, that's unbelievable. That's something that gets me even more excited to see him, because obviously we know about the bat, we know about the speed, we know about the high average and the things that he can do, but showing that he not only can play a solid defensive shortstop, but also be like nationally recognized for how good he was at the position at 19 years old, that's something that encourages me a lot and kind of puts to bed any doubt that I had whether he'd be a center fielder or a shortstop or whatever in the big leagues. He's going to be the Pirates shortstop at some point, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yep, no doubt. That was on my list too, man. I so impressed with Griffin, and just to build on that a little bit, like, yes, I co-sign all of the defensive stuff. I'm not trying to bypass that, but just his personality. And, I've talked to Konnor several times. You have too, like, we've met. So this isn't new, but like his perspective and the way he carries himself, it is scary mature and in a very good way, obviously, right along the lines of Paul Skenes or Sidney Crosby or any of the best, most mature athletes we've seen come from here. And it just gets me that much more excited to see him with the challenge of playing Major League Baseball. Like, we have yet to see something or some situation with Konnor where the moment's too big. It's not too big for him. He's wired extremely well. His parents did an incredible job. So I'm excited to see the total package and see him start at AAA or the major leagues, wherever it happens to be. And just as a secondary point, I guess I'm learning, and maybe this has been an evolving topic, I don't know, but in the columnist role, I wasn't down in the weeds this much. Some of the minor league hitting depth is better than I thought. Like at the upper levels of the minor leagues, yes, there's been a problem getting guys from AAA to the majors, all of that. But like learning more about Esmerlyn, Valdez, Edward Florentino, a couple other guys, Colin Moss, it's been fun to experience that and get a better handle on those guys. And I'm curious where and when that hitting depth kind of, matriculates on up, because the Pirates certainly need it.
Yeah, I need to see it at AA and AAA before I start to pencil these guys into major league rosters. But I'm encouraged by it too. I'm encouraged by some of the guys that did have success. It feels like there are some prospects there. I'm excited about Florentino. I think that's someone I'm looking forward to seeing how he develops in 2026 at Greensboro or wherever he ends up starting. And I'm also excited about Esmerlyn. That Arizona Fall League is just impressive stuff. I haven't dug into the weeds too much on who exactly it was against, but when you have that good of an Arizona Fall League, it's hard not to take notice and get a little bit excited about it.
All right, that does it for us. Good chat. Anything else, Colin? Am I cutting you off? I think we're good.
That's all I got.
All right, man. We'll be back here on Friday. Make sure you like and subscribe. You can get all of this content and so much more from our Post-Gazette North Shore Drive podcast and YouTube channels. For Colin Beazley, I'm Jason Mackey, and we will talk to you next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.